garden this wonderful overcast September day. I utilise 3 different methods, styles of gardening technique in my garden. I combine them all together in one space. I like to do a no dig wherever possible, raised beds, and what might be new to some of you, a Ruth Stout. The no dig basically means literally that, not digging the ground you are planning to be growing things in. Obviously you need to dig the hole to put the plant in that you're going to grow, but don't keep turning it over with a spade and a fork and breaking up the soil. You're breaking up all that wonderful habitat of the microbes and organisms and life forms living in our soil, making it a wonderful place for our plants to grow. Raised beds are a very well-known concept nowadays. I like a raised bed. It gives me a contained area of gardening, a spot I know this is the place the plants are supposed to be growing, not the weeds or the grass or anything else. This is the bit my plants are going in. A raised bed allows you a bordered area that makes it easier to not be walking on your growing space. The raised beds I choose to create, in the polytunnel I've used decking boards and built just one decking board deep. I don't know, I think it's about 8 inches high, just to give me a border to identify the area I'm planting in, as opposed to the area that is walking path. And in the polytunnel the decking boards work wonderfully. It's a covered area and isn't getting wet and rained on all winter long. I find timbers in the garden, although they look wonderful and are definitely eco-friendly, given a few years of our British wet winter weather, things soon start to rot and decompose, and you have to start rebuilding those beds all over again. It's a lot of work every 4 or 5 years, recreating your raised beds. So for our outdoor climate here in the UK, I've created my raised beds using standard builders concrete blocks. There's no cement holding these blocks together, they're just dry stacked concrete blocks. I've got 2 rows, and to create my beds I will decide where it's going to go, lay myself a row of blocks in the square or rectangle that I require. This particular bed I'm sitting on the edge of at the moment is, we will count them and find out, 3.5 blocks wide, and I think I'm 9 blocks long. This allows me to reach the centre of my bed easily, and if I go around the other side I can reach from the other way, so I can get to every planting area without walking on it. The concrete blocks will pretty much last a lifetime. They'll certainly last my lifetime. I can move them if I decide I don't like my raised bed in one particular place, it's not working for me. I can just pick up all the blocks and take them away and utilise them somewhere else around the property. Concrete blocks work fantastically for me. Use a Ruth Stout method of gardening. I'll link to Ruth Stout video below. A lot of you may have heard of laying mulch down using wood chips, possibly straw. The Ruth Stout method of gardening uses hay. I don't have an easy source of wood chip, but I do have lots and lots of grass. So when I cut my grass, I use that as a mulch around plants that are already growing and on new areas that I'm turning into garden beds. Now this particular bed I am sitting on has been very neglected this year, and things were put in it last year, so we do have weeds appearing. I've got hollyhocks falling over that need moving. They were only put in here as young seedlings to give them a chance to get established before they went out into the main flowering garden. They should never have been left in here this long, but hey ho, they're here. So I'm going to move the hollyhocks. I know I've got spring bulbs in this bed, small jetfire daffodils. I see the odd foxglove popping up, so I'll rescue that and move it. We've obviously got gladioli in here as well. So I'm going to clear this bed and prepare it for next year's spring planting. By preparing, I'm going to remove the plants I no longer want in here, which this particular bed is all of them. Clear any weeds, of course. I will top it up with compost, and then on top I'm going to use my Ruth Stout method and lay a big thick mulch of cut grass. Where's my wheelbarrow? I'm in the way, you can't see it. Ugh. So I have my wonderful wheelbarrow full of cut grass that was cut a couple of days ago and left out drying in the sun. So I'm going to put that on here as well to cover it up for the winter. The grass is great. The worms and microbes will take it down into the soil and create a compost here out of it. It stops the water evaporating at a great speed and the plants drying out, and suppresses any weed growth that's coming up amongst your plants. Right, I'll get on with this and we'll switch you back on again when it's looking a bit tidier. Well, I've cleared the plants I wish to rescue out of this bed. Now I just have the weeds to deal with. It's surprising how much plant life there was amongst all this weed, and everything is thriving because of the no-dig raised bed system. This bed has been neglected all of this year. It's not been watered or weeded or tended to in any way by me. I've been too busily occupied with everything else. So the hollyhocks, gladioli have all happily flowered and given me a wonderful display despite my appalling neglect. So now to send them to a nice new part of the garden where they can continue to thrive with a little bit more tender loving care, I hope. So let's get them planted and then we'll come back and clear this space. They're all stacked up in the wheelbarrow. I have a wheelbarrow full of treasures now. Let me bring you into focus. I don't know. The back of me, not now. Hello bee, you enjoying that flower? How much can you see? Yay, a screen full of plants. Hollyhocks, gladiolis with enormous bulbs on them. I can't fish them out of here. And some foxgloves that have volunteered themselves. I'll be very happy to have those in the new flowery garden bit as well. So let's get these planted in their new home. Well, so much for my lovely cool shady day. The clouds have blown away and it is sweltering out here. Just wanted to show you, you can't see, I don't know how well you can see the soil. I decided I cleared all my weeds, and I've decided not to add any extra compost to this bed at the moment because it is nice and full and I'm very happy with that. I may give it a quick sprinkle with bunch fish and bone next spring, give it a little extra feed depending what plants I decide to put in here at that point. The Ruth Stout method of gardening, another system I like to use, uses hay or grass cuttings. I have lots of grass and I'm very happy to use my grass cuttings as a mulch. I don't have a ready access of wood chippings, which would be another option. I like using the grass. One, I have lots, so use what you have ready. So I'm literally over the top of my prepared soil bed. I am now going to just lightly fluff and sprinkle a deep layer of grass cuttings. I find these work really well if they've dried out a little bit for a day or two first, but if they're green straight off the grass mower, it's absolutely fine. They'll dry out here. I'm putting these on, I don't know how, about 8 inches deep or deeper. I wouldn't be any shallower than that. This suppresses any weeds that want to grow. It keeps the moisture in, and it will slowly decompose itself. The worms and microbes underneath love it. They'll feast on it and eat it and help it all break down. So the grass itself is going to create a compost here on site, just where the plants need it, with no more work from the gardener hauling it around from compost bins to garden beds. This will all decompose down in a year, and I'll top it up again next year. When it comes to springtime, or whatever time of year it is, and you're ready to plant your plug plants into here, you literally just open up a hole in the grassy surface, dig into the soil, plant your plant in the soil underneath, which will be lovely, rich and moist, and push the grass back in around it. Your plant will grow and thrive wonderfully. If you want to plant seeds, you do need to clear this back to open up some soil and plant your seeds in. Once things start coming through and showing themselves, you can push the grass in around your young seedling plants to give them back that protection. And that's basically the Ruth Stout method, is laying this grass to cover your ground, and I absolutely love it. It is so simple, so easy, and I have found over the past 4 or 5 years so effective. So that's it for today. I'm going to get myself out of this scorching sun and into somewhere nice and cool and shady. And whatever you're doing, have fun doing it. Bye for now. Whilst we're here, I thought we'd take a look at a few things that are still looking splendid in the garden, even in mid-September. This beautiful golden yellow marigold is looking splendid. And somewhere there's a few cabbage white butterflies flitting around, probably trying to lay eggs on my turnips. Go away. This yellow-leaved hardy fuchsia called Jenny is looking splendid outside the polytunnel today. Its yellow leaves are not because it's hungry, it's the variety that makes them yellow. There in the distance, that huge tall sunflower, finished flowering now, but still ripening seeds. The head has got to be the size of a dinner plate. The plant itself must be at least 8 or 9 feet tall. And here in the polytunnel, things are starting to get a bit dried out and neglected. It is just too hot for me to be in here doing anything. The tomatoes are still merrily ripening, even on their dried out plants. Lots of tomatoes! Yay! The squashes are starting to suffer from powdery mildew. I'm not going to do anything about it. They'll be dead in a couple of months anyway, probably sooner, just because of the season of the year. That cabbage head hidden in there is looking quite good. Ready to harvest, I'd say. What else have we got in here? Ooh, a butternut. A big fat butternut squash. Oh, and this dear little thing pushing up yet another flower. A solitary pink petunia. I don't know if we can see any fish in this very green water. Oh, there's one. Look, come. Put some food in, that'll bring them up. Way! Hello! food. Some food for the koi. Blub, blub, blub. Well, thank you for joining me around the garden today. I really am off now to find myself some cool shade. Have fun. See you next time. Bye. Nope.